Mhm. All right, we're going to give everybody a chance to get on, and then we're going to get this party started. Like a little bit better. All right, let's get started. I've got 12:29, and there'll be people who will be joining us here today. I hope you're off to a great start on this Monday. And I actually believe today's course and what we're going to be coaching you on from a strategic perspective is really going to be very liberating for you. And I think it's actually going to give you some momentum and energy. And really the course started on Saturday night with me watching an interview with former Navy SEAL Sean Ryan. Anybody on here familiar with Sean Ryan? Okay, Sean Ryan has the believe the #1 downloaded podcast in the world called The Sean Ryan Show. He's a former Navy SEAL who was a Navy SEAL for 6 years, and then he converted and went and worked for the CIA for a number of years as an operator. And on the weekends is when I process a lot of information. It's where I have my biggest ideas. And I was working out on Saturday night at my home gym, and I'm listening to this podcast with Sean Ryan. And Sean Ryan is talking about, the question was, what was the difference between being a Navy SEAL and being in the CIA? Okay, this was the question. And you guys hear me constantly say, I only work with Navy SEALs, not baby SEALs. Okay, everybody heard that before? And what that is, Dan Young and Joel, is a way for me to pre-qualify people's commitment. See, what I'm really doing there is I'm trying to let you know I'm a serious guy who wants to do big things, and I really only have a desire to work with other people who want to do big things. And I kind of jokingly say, I'm looking for Navy SEALs, not baby SEALs. But the truth is, I am looking for people who are committed. How many of you guys are looking for people who are committed? See, it doesn't matter if you're a real estate agent or a mortgage originator or a gym owner. I mean, how many of you have had people completely waste your time and energy over a long cycle of time? And when it was all said and done, you felt like it was a bad exchange. How many of y'all have ever felt that way before? Okay. And you felt like, hey, this wasn't a good exchange. I gave you a lot. I may have conceded to things you asked for. I worked hard to put this deal together. And then you just blew it off and didn't do it, as if there was nothing, like there was nothing involved here. So I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this interview. And obviously this month we're covering identity. We're covering standards. We're covering language. We're covering accountability. These are the big words we're talking about this month. And I'm listening to Sean Ryan, this Navy SEAL, and they say, Sean, what was the difference between the Navy SEALs and the CIA? And he says, well, in the Navy SEALs, you make a decision you want to be a SEAL. And then all of their training and coaching and development is to kind of grow you up as a Navy SEAL. There's a lot of correction. There's a lot of feedback. There's a lot of coaching. You spend years preparing for this, and then you go do a very specific task. Okay. And just by the way, you don't enroll to be a Navy SEAL and do that tomorrow, but guys, what you do is there's 3 years here, there's 2 years here, then you get to your team, and there's a lot of training before you go and do anything. And he said, it was great experience. I was trained to do this one thing. I went and did this one thing. He said, but when I went to the CIA, it was totally different. Craig Nestor, he said, the CIA sends you where you're supposed to be. If you're applying for a job, there's no guarantees. They give you certain tasks to do. There is zero coaching, zero instruction, zero ways to get better. You're either good enough or you're not good enough. Right? It's like, this is your task. We're going to evaluate you. You do it to the best of your ability. There will be no instruction from us. And either you are good enough to do this or you are not good enough to do this. You have prepared and are ready, because there is no growing up here. You're in the big leagues, and that's it. And he said that was the difference between the Navy SEALs and the CIA. And I started thinking, this triggered an association in my brain, is that some people are not ready to go the distance with you. They struggle to make a decision. They're living in the past. They can't move forward to experience the future that you have for them, all because they're not mentally, emotionally ready to move forward. Now, here's the options you have at this point. This is what I'm thinking on Saturday night. You could try to convince them that they're ready. And how many of you have spent a lot of time to try to convince a person to do something that they were not ready for, only for that to be a big failure? Raise your hand. Only for them to be a terrible customer. Only for them to want to quit. See, one of my sayings is the people you have to beg to get in are always the first ones trying to get out. Okay. And so I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm thinking, maybe we need to change the way we approach the sale. And maybe we need to position ourselves. See, this is part of packaging. If you remember, last week was on packaging. Maybe we need to start packaging and position ourselves as the best in the world at what we do. And we only work with select people who are as committed to this as we are. Okay. And we're not messing around. We're like the CIA. Okay. We're not messing around. If you can't make a decision, we're not messing around. If you're going to drag us along for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I started thinking, how could I position this to my sales team so that instead of having them try to convince people you need a coach, Coach Burt is the best coach for you, to actually start the conversation differently so we could weed people out, okay, that are not serious. Okay, so what we're going to call this course is how do you become the buyer versus the seller? Okay, how do you become the buyer versus the seller? See, Joel saw me in Arizona and he made a decision that day to sign up. Joe, you remember that? Okay, Joe heard the same message. Yeah. See, here's what it says about you. There were 50 other people in that room who saw me, who had the same invitation you did, who did not sign up that day, who walked out of there and went back to doing exactly what they did before they came that day. Now, what's interesting is they came up to me, and I tell people this, they want to take pictures with me and they want me to sign their books, and they tell me it was a great presentation. And I am wise enough to know it doesn't matter how good that presentation is. That presentation is not going to change their life. Being coached by me for a period of time could change their life. Okay. One presentation for 40 minutes is not going to change a person's life, folks. I know that. So when people come up to me and say, can I take a picture with you? Can I do this? Can I do that? I'm like, sure, I'd be happy to take a picture with you, but the picture ain't going to change your life. and even though I've written great books and I've written 18 of them, the book ain't going to change your life. What would change your life is actually spending time with me and let me use my 31 years of experience to coach and mentor you. And that could change your life. Everybody with me?
Yeah, that money I spent to get with you, I already got my money's worth. I tell you
See?
right now, I already got my money's worth.
See, there you go. So see, that says a lot about Joel. He saw something. He was not indecisive. He made a decision that day. In 40 minutes, I'm in. Okay. Now, if you struggle to make a decision, all the people who are on this call and in my program, how hard do you think it's going to be to get other people to make a decision if you can't make a decision? See, if you personally struggle, and I've seen salespeople, guys, that personally struggle to make decisions. And I'm like, you're going to have a terrible time selling anything because you can't even make a decision. So the question becomes, how do you become a buyer versus a seller? And how do you know in the first conversation with a person if you should even follow up in one conversation? Okay, so let's go back to our core 4 that we're covering this month. Let me show you how it all ties in. So number 1, identity. How many of you think identity has a lot to do with self-worth? And it has a lot to do with believing you have created something valuable. You are a person of interest. You have spent your entire life creating this knowledge set and this skill set, and it is valuable. See, this is the first step. I was telling my team this morning, the first step for you selling me like this is for you to believe that we are in the business of changing people's lives, and we can't change people's lives until you believe that we're the best at what we do. Everybody see that? You can't think, well, I'm pretty good. Your self-worth has got to be, man, I got confidence coming out of my ears because I've been doing this for X number of years, and there is nobody better in the world than us at what we do. So that's identity. When you're talking to a person, that is identity. Okay. Number 2 is standards. There's going to be a lot of people who want to work with you because you have a very high standard. There's a lot of expectations. See, all of my kids have gone to Montessori schools. Okay. You guys know about the Montessori schools? And let me tell you something. You want to see a work of art, walk in and watch how those people instruct those 3 and 4 and 5-year-old kids. They don't talk when they're not supposed to. They say, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Like, it is crazy how they train those kids. And there's a standard. They have a very high standard. This is what we do. This is what we don't do. There's going to be a lot of people who go, I want to work with that person because they have a high standard. They have very high standards. They don't have low standards. Okay. So when you have very high standards, think Ritz-Carlton. Think the best places in the world. Why do you pay more money? Because they're that good, right? They're significantly better than staying at a Best Western, than if you stay at the Ritz-Carlton. There's a standard here of excellence. Okay. And that comes with a lot of confidence, comes with a lot of identity. Number 3, language, how you package and name things. Okay. So what we're saying about this is you are the buyer versus the seller. Okay. Lorenzo said Disney World versus Six Flags. That's a good one. I was so poor when I grew up, I couldn't even go to either one of those places. I actually went to Lake Winnipesaukee. And there's a big difference between that and Disneyland and Disney World. Now, when you think about it, the language is how you package something. I'm going to show you exactly how to package it in just a second. And number 4 is accountability. Yeah, there's a nice way to say to a person, Kelly, I'm a serious person. I've devoted 31 years of my life to this. I've developed a really specialized skill set. I only really work with the best people in the world. And the purpose of this conversation, Kelly, is really to see if you're serious enough to commit to your future and work with us or not. Does everybody see that? It's not, Kelly, let me spend 15 minutes trying to sell you on working with us. It's, Kelly, we work with selected people. They're the best at what they do or have a desire to be the best. They're fully committed to what they do. Coach likes to call those Navy SEALs versus baby SEALs. And the purpose of this phone call is to see if we're a good fit to work with each other. And at the end of this phone conversation, we may not be a good fit. Everybody see that? I'm not going to beg you to take action. I'm not going to try to convince you. I'm going to explain our value. I'm going to listen to what you're trying to do, and then you're going to make a decision. But we're not going to drag this out over 6 or 8 months. See, I was talking to a guy 3 months ago and he said, well, let me get back from vacation. I'm in. This is what he told me. I'm in. But let me go on vacation first. And then he gets back from vacation. He says, well, my bandwidth is all crazy and I don't have, a lot of time here. And then let me think about it in the new year. And at that point, here's my response. No, sir. You're not in. You're out. Okay. Because I do not work with people who drag me along for 3 or 4 months. And every time I talk to them, they're going to be in next week or next month or next year, or when life gets better, when the sun eclipses the moon, when their right toe don't hurt on Mondays because it rains, when no, sir. This was your window to work with me, and that window has passed now. So we wish you a lot of luck, but you're not a good fit for what we're trying to do here. We're looking for serious people who want to get better. Now, there's going to be some of you on this call. How many real estate agents are on here that's had somebody jack you around for a long time and never buy anything? Okay. You showed them 47 houses and you spent Saturdays and you left your family and you showed up whenever they needed you and you took their phone call at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night because they wanted to do something and then they didn't do anything with you. See, what I'm trying to prevent here is on the front end. I'm trying to say, let's gauge our interest levels and our seriousness before we move forward. Okay. And there are some key things that I'm going to ask. Okay. And then we're going to see. So let's go through some of those things, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to have a good exchange here. And the exchange is, man, this is a win for us and a win for you. This was a great experience. I love working with you. You love working with me. You don't nickel and dime me. You don't try to quit every other day. You you value our skill set and we value you as a client. See, where that's a good exchange. A bad exchange is I did all the work and you complained about it. Anybody ever have a person like that? Okay. So when you think about it, this is really where we're trying to get you to think at this level. We're trying to get you to raise your level of standards. Okay. So let's talk about what this should look like. And I want you to write these down in a framework. And all of these notes are in our private Facebook group. And we sent them out to your email this morning as well, because I really want you to start using this. Now, if your self-worth is low, and if you have a lot of feelings of unworthiness, it's going to be hard for you to do this, because the first sale you got to make is to you. Everybody with me? You got to say, I am a person of interest. People are counting on me to show up and grow up and deliver. I have spent a lifetime accumulating this skill set, and what I have to offer is incredibly valuable. Okay. I'm not needy. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of rejection. I'm not afraid of losing. You got to first start with yourself. Okay. I believe these things. I'm not trying to convince myself of these things. I believe I put 31 years in and there's nobody better at what I do than me. I believe that. I don't say it braggingly. I just say it from a position of confidence. Okay. So here's the formula. Number one, we initiate. Okay. And we're going to initiate like we always do. Okay. Jason, it's good to talk to you. I'm excited about seeing how we can serve you today. Now, notice, how many of you believe you start negotiating from the very first time you get on the phone? See, a lot of people get stuck in the friend zone right here. And it's a friend conversation. Okay. And that is a big mistake that people make, because how many of you think it's easy to tell your friends no? See, if my buddy wants to go to dinner, I don't want to go to dinner, and I say, no, I just don't want to go, man. He goes, okay. See, it's easy to tell your friends no. So some of you start in the friend zone and you get stuck in the friend zone. Now, what does that mean? It's just a friendly conversation and there's no intention of moving forward. Everybody's playing nice with each other. How many of you feel like you got stuck in the friend zone at some point? Versus setting a tone is that you're calling me or we're on the phone because we want to see if this is a good fit and how we can help you. So I initiate. Jason, this is Coach. I'm excited about visiting with you to see if we're a good fit so that we could help you move from A to B. Okay. Now, I do connect with people. So I may say, Jason, where are you today in the world? And Jason may say, I'm here. And I say, man, what's going on here? I'm in Tennessee at the lodge. It's a little cool. It's kind of feeling like fall here in Tennessee. And I may connect with him for a second. but I'm just connecting. Okay. I'm building connection. Then I start framing. See, this is a new thing that I'm teaching you that I haven't taught you before. Then I'm going to start framing. Jason, for this to be productive for both of us, because we only work with a select group of people who are serious. We've spent 31 years really developing these formulas to help people. For us to really ascertain if this is going to be a good relationship for both of us, because we only work the best people, Jason. There's a few questions that I got to ask you. Okay. And number one is, what are you trying to do? And you guys have heard me ask this question before. What are you trying to do? Now, at this point, Philip, I'm asking them to explain to me what their B is. What everybody's trying to do something. Okay. So this is no different than anything I've taught you before. The only new thing is I'm teaching you to frame a little bit better. Okay. We work with select people. We like to call them Navy SEALs versus baby SEALs. I do have a couple of questions to ask you just to see if we could work together or not, and if this is going to be a good fit for us. So number one, what are you trying to do? Number two, this is very important. Tell me about your past situation with this. How many of you believe the best predictor of future behavior is past relevant behavior? Well, I did this, but I struggled to see it through, and I did this. And I had one person tell me once, I've had 7 coaches and all of them sucked, coach, all 7 of them. And I'm like, maybe the person that sucks is you. Okay. Because you've had 7 people. There's probably a pretty good chance that all 7 of them weren't bad. Can we all agree on this? Yes or no? So this is a pretty good indicator that they complain, they whine, they blame other people. The best predictor of future behavior many times is past relevant behavior. Okay. This either raises a yellow flag or a red flag or a green go. Everybody with me? Okay. So I'm on the phone with the gentleman on Saturday night, former Green Beret, I think, Special Forces. I said, tell me about your past situations with coaches. He said, man, I've hired Tony Robbins. I've hired Ed Mylett. I said, tell me what you liked about each of those coaches, and tell me when you saw me speak, what you thought that I could bring that was different than what they brought you. Does everybody see how I asked that question? See, I'm grabbing discovery. Now, could it be true if he's hired Tony Robbins, if he's hired Ed Mylett, that's an indicator he's invested money in his coaching? Yes or no? See, and I'm asking him, you tell me. See, Edwin, what I'm doing here, I got an Edwin and an Edward. Eddie, what I'm doing here is I'm letting him qualify why I would be the right coach for him. I'm not selling him on me. I'm saying, you tell me when you saw me speak what you think I bring that's different than those guys, because those are guys that are really good at what they do. And he said, well, you're more of a coach. You do this. I've never talked to those guys personally. I'm talking to you, and I said, okay. So see, now he's telling me about his past. Okay. If I was a real estate agent, tell me about the last time you looked at a house. Well, we looked for 2.5 years and we looked at 42 houses, and my wife didn't like any of them. And you know what? I think we'd like to do it, but she's not really on board. See, they're telling you everything you need to know. They're not serious. Maya Angelou said this, William, when people show you who they are, you need to believe them. When people show you who they are, you need to believe them. Okay. How many of you have hired people in the past and you knew when you hired them that there was a yellow flag or a red flag, and it showed up? And it was only a matter of time before it showed up. And something inside of you, last week I was in a meeting and a guy said something to me, and I went home and told my wife. I said, man, that's a big yellow flag, what he said to me. Big yellow flag. Okay. It was a statement. It was kind of a sneaky statement about another person. And I went, and I just listened, and I went home, and my intuition said, this guy could be a problem. Okay. This guy could be a problem. All right. Number 3 question. After I ask about the past, how committed are you to moving forward with this if we bring you exactly what you think you need? Okay. How committed are you if at the end of this phone conversation, we come to terms and we bring you, I like to say we bring it to you on a silver platter, how committed are you to moving forward with us on this? Are we at a 3? Are we at a 5? Are we at a 7? Okay. And what I see a lot of times in the financial services space, Dominic, and some people in the financial services space, is that people listen and then they don't do anything, and then they listen and they don't do anything, and they listen and they don't do anything. And I would really start asking these questions up front. If I bring you a plan that would move you towards your goals, what we call going from A to B, how committed are you to moving forward with that plan? Is this something that you think you're going to do today within 48 hours? Because really, I can't get you to your goals financially until you commit to something. So as long as there's decommitment, there's no progress. Everybody with me? Okay. And I'll just say that. Okay. So number 3 is the commitment conversation. Number 4, I begin to share our core beliefs. We believe we lose 10% of momentum every day we don't take action. We believe that making a decision is one of the most important things that a person does. We believe that the reason people struggle to make a decision is because they're living in the past from a bad decision that they made. And because of that, Jana, they can't really experience the benefit of their future because they have an inability to make a decision. So Bonnie Huntsman, would you say that you're really good at making decisions and you have not a problem making a decision, or do you waver? Does it take you a long time? And Bonnie may go, nope, I see something I like, boom, I make a decision. Okay, good. So you're a person of action then. Bonnie says, I'm a person of action. Okay, look at how I'm working through this, guys. This is a new way to sell versus we're great. Let me spend a bunch of time explaining it to you. Let me try to convince you we're good enough for you. Then let you tell me no. Then let me go home feeling rejected. Hey, see how that game feels? Doesn't feel good at all. Doesn't feel any good at all. Okay. So share your core beliefs. I believe people that do big things are people of action. I believe in making a freaking decision. I believe in not delaying. I believe in seeing things through to their conclusion. I believe in showing up and growing up and delivering, right? These are things I believe. Here's one I believe, Kelly Eisler. I believe it's the learner's responsibility to extract maximum value from the instructor. Everybody with me? Every coaching program I've ever been in, it was up to me to extract as much value as I could from the coach. The coach showed up and coached. I had a guy argue with me for 30 minutes about that one day, ended in a shouting match. He said, what do you mean? What do you mean it's my job? I'm like, well, I'm the teacher, you're the student. It's your job to learn, right? Like, I don't know what's going on in your life. Guy argued with me for 30 minutes. And I said, you and I don't believe the same things. I believe it is the learner's responsibility to extract maximum value from the teacher. Okay. That's the belief I have. Now, then we move number 4 from core beliefs to intensity and commitment again. Okay. We really believe in communication. We only work with people who communicate with us. And we believe it's not the big that eat the small. It's actually the fast that eat the slow. And can I count on you to communicate with us in an effective way? How many of you are trying to communicate with a person right now and it's been miserable communicating with them? They tell you they're interested, then they don't respond. Then they don't text you back. Then they're too busy being fabulous. So they get back to you 7 days later. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, A, don't be one of those people, number 1. Number 2, if communication is important, then you need to say it up front. For this to really work, you got to show up every week. You got to communicate. You got to get back quick with us because this is very important. We believe it's not the big that eat the small. It's actually the fast that eat the slow. Okay. And we don't whine. We don't complain. We don't make excuses. Coach Bert's folksy, but he's serious. You know, he's likable, but he's a serious little dude, man. And he don't mess around with people who whines and complains and makes excuses. Okay. So now we're look at how we're qualifying these people. So if I was sitting there talking to Lisa, I connected with you. I initiated, I connected. I asked you a question. Then through my discovery, I'm ascertaining how committed are you to this. Okay. So then I'm going to kind of finalize this with your ability to make a decision. The word decide means to kill something off. Lisa, how long have you been thinking about this without taking action on it? And are you ready to make a decision today? Or can you see yourself making a decision in the future? So we don't waste your time, and we certainly don't want you to waste our time, because we work really with the best people who are really serious. Okay. Now, Lisa, you told me in step number 3 what you're trying to do, or step number 4 what you're trying to do there. And I want to just explain to you how we would move you from A to B. And this is called building a bridge. I'm going to build a bridge from where you are to where you're trying to go to. Okay. And I'm going to show you how we do this. So I think you're a good candidate for Package Your Purpose. Package Your Purpose is a 2-day boot camp where I break down how to find, package, market, and monetize exactly what makes you unique. I've written 18 books. I've turned those books into speaking, coaching, training, leading, licensing, commercial real estate plays. And Lisa, does this sound like something you would like to enroll in today? See, now I'm inviting Lisa to take an action. Everybody see that? I'm inviting Lisa to take an action. Okay. Now, Todd, I'm going to come back and qualify Lisa's commitment one more time. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, based on what you've heard me say today, does it sound like something you're ready to move forward with? Well, I need to think about it. I need to sleep on it. I completely understand. Now, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here when they say they got to sleep on it? They got to think about it, because we need to create we need to take the power back, right? Like I coach these tiny home guys. You hear me talk about them a lot, and they had an incredible week last week, 6 contracts in 1 week. Okay. And we're starting to crush the little tiny home business, folks. And, but here's the deal. Here's what I teach these guys to say. We're generating about 250 leads a week. We only have 10 of these in inventory. We actually signed 6 contracts last week. We probably only got 3 or 4 available. So let me ask you a question, Nick Carver. How would you feel if I called you tomorrow and told you we're completely out of inventory? And Nick's going to have to answer that question. Not a big deal to me. Okay, what do I know about Nick? He's not that serious about buying a tiny home. Because if I ask him that question directly and he goes, oh no, I don't want that to happen, coach. Okay, great. Here's what we can do. We can get a deposit down. I can hold this tiny home for 24 hours. You can talk to whoever you got to talk to. But then we got to get moving, because I only got 4 of these left and 250 leads to call back. Everybody see how I did that? Okay. So I tell our people, look, we're getting 3,000 leads every 90 days, man. I can't even get to all of them. So if you're in, step over here. If you're out, step over here. Because I'm only looking to work with the best people. Okay. If you don't want to be great, get a ticket to the complacency factory. Because they got a bunch of people trying to get in over there. All right. But there's only a few who can get in over here. Okay. So tell me this now. Let me, so how does this change the follow-up? Are you guys enjoying this? See, I want you to take the power back. I want you to quit being drug along by people who are not serious. I want you to learn how in one conversation to know if somebody is interested enough for you to follow up or not. Okay. I don't want you to let people drag you on for a long time. I want you to find out, are they serious or not serious? Now, from this point forward, Arturo, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make up our mind in the very first meeting. Should we follow up or not follow up? Okay. And the follow-up is not going to be supplicating. Oh yeah, let me be available at 4:33 on a Sunday morning, because that's the only time you got available, and you're real important and I'm not that important. There will be no more supplication. You are a person of interest, for God's sakes. You are important. You bring something valuable. You're not supplicating anymore. Okay. You're an expert. Okay. The follow-up now becomes, I understand you need to see some more information before you make a decision. I'm going to send you these things for you to review. Okay. I'm going to follow back up with you in 24 hours. And if you haven't taken time to watch it, or you're not that interested in it, then maybe that's an indicator that you're probably not ready to do what we're trying to get you to do right here. Okay. So the follow-up becomes information and a decision. Hey, the purpose of our phone call today, man, is see if you made a decision. Now, you told me the last time we talked that you were going to go on vacation for 2 weeks and that you were in. Well, you went on vacation and now you're here. So I'm assuming today's the day we're going to be enrolling you. Am I right about that? And if they go, no, I need, really toward the end of the year, totally get it. But you know what? We're really only looking for serious people. We actually believe, why wait to the beginning of the year to get started, that people should get started in October so they have 90 days to get ready for next year. So I'm going to give you my number. See, Carolina, I could say it like this. I'm going to give you my number. Okay. You call me back if you want to be in, but the next phone call is you're in and we're taking payment and we're getting you started. Sound like, and don't call me back until then. All right. Like, I love you, but we can't go back. We can't keep doing this because you already told me 2 or 3 times that you're not committed to this. Okay. Now, does everybody see how you're changing the game here from being the seller trying to get rid of something to collect a commission to being a buyer because you have something valuable, and if people don't want it, somebody else does. Okay, if you're not interested in it, it's okay. I'm going to move on to somebody else because there's somebody out there dying to have it right now. Would you guys agree? See, so what we're really doing is we're putting on notice, folks, all the people who waste your time. We're putting on notice all the people who tell you what you want to hear so they play nice. What we're doing is we're saying, look, we work with really great people who want to make a decision to change their financial future, to do this. And I'm going to explain it. I want to see how committed you are to this. And if you're not, it's okay. I'm not going to be mad at you. I'll give you my phone number. If something changes in the future, you call me. Okay. But we're not going to go back and forth for, 6 months on this. We're going to work with the best people. Now, here's what I think is going to happen. Some of you are going, oh my gosh, this scares me to death. What if I lose the deal? I actually think the time you're wasting with people who are not serious is costing you a lot of future deals. I actually think going back and forth with people who are not committed is actually costing you a lot of time and energy that you could be putting toward people who are committed. And we want to find those people. Okay. So here's your homework assignment from today's session. If you have not packaged your concept, like me calling it, I work with Navy SEALs, not baby seals. That's a form of packaging. Okay. I got a program called Package Your Purpose coming up. We do a couples retreat called Living with the Monster. So when I'm listening to Ricardo, I'm listening and my mind is thinking, okay, he's trying to do this. He's at A, I'm trying to get him to B. What bridge? What would be the best thing for Ricardo? Okay, be this. When I explain that value, I say, Ricardo, could you see yourself doing this? Could you see yourself making a financial commitment to do this? Because it really ain't a commitment unless you, right? Unless you back it up with time and energy and money. That's the only way it's a real commitment, man. And it's not going to change until you, right? I have a theory: when you pay attention. And that's called psychological demand. Okay. I had a guy talk to me for 45 minutes the other day, guys. 45 minutes I spent with this guy. And he tells me he's going to do something. Then Kelly calls him back and he says, man, I had a great talk with Coach Burt. He's so nice. I can't believe he called and talked to me that long. And then he didn't do anything. And I'm sitting there like, you can forget that happening again. Okay. There will be no more time with Coach Burt because that's what I do for a living, man. I can't believe somebody would take 45 minutes of my time and not do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just shocked me, but he did it. And I learned a lesson. Don't do that again. Okay. Look, I'll spend a few minutes with you. I'll answer your questions. If you're serious, we can keep going. But this is what I do for a living, is coach people. You're not going to get 45 minutes of free coaching. Okay. How would you feel? How would you feel if I use your service for free? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not right. People shouldn't do that. So have awareness there. That's a lack of awareness. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm spending a lot of time with you, coach. I don't want to do this. I know you coach. So, what would you like to charge me for this time that you're counseling and consulting me? See, that'd have been a more appropriate response. Now, so number one, if you haven't packaged your value, I want you to package it. Number two, I want you to try this. How many of you have the guts to try this week? Raise your hand if you're committed to doing this. Okay, Terry Main, how about your team? Are you guys committed to trying this? Out of the gate, I want you to be the buyer. I want you to be the buyer versus the seller. I work with serious people. I want you to work through this script and I want you to get good at it. It's going to feel a little uncomfortable for some of you because you're so used to supplicating to the consumer. Okay. Just a few weeks ago, I told a billionaire, I said, man, I like you. You've had tremendous success, but you and I don't line up philosophically. So we would not be a good fit for each other. Okay. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to let you move on. Just because you got $1 billion, don't make you any more important than me. Everybody with me? Okay. Okay. That's your people. People may be more valuable at certain times of life, but they're not more important. Okay. I don't care how much money they have, guys. So I walked away from that situation. I didn't try to sell him anything else. I said, look, man, you and I don't line up on what we believe, and therefore it's not going to work. So good luck to you. Good luck to your future. I'll see you when I see you. Okay. Let's keep moving. Okay. So number 2, you're going to be the buyer. And number 3, you're going to start your conversations differently. I want you to start the conversation. Now, let me go back to the very beginning and I'll take any questions you have. Remember, I said in the beginning, I want you to frame this up for this to be productive for both of us. As we only work with select group of people, there's a few key questions I would just want to go forward with you on. That's the framing. Okay. Like if Kelly was selling me, I would want Kelly to say, look, Coach Bert's friendly. He's folksy. People like him because he's from the South and he smiles a lot, but he is a serious person. And he really only wants to work with serious people. So if you're not, if you're not that serious about this right now, it's probably not, let's just put this conversation on hold until you make some changes and you're ready, right? Remember, Navy SEAL, CIA, over here. Both of them are stone cold killers, by the way. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions from what we're talking about today? Tim Story was the one that said I was folksy like Zig Ziglar. He said, people think you're folksy like Ziegler. That's why they like you, Coach. He said, but deep down, you're stone cold killer.
What? I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What book do you talk about self-belief and self-image?
Swag. Yeah.
Swag.
Swag is my book on confidence. Yep. And there is an audible version of that as well. But if confidence is a thing that you're working on right now, that'd be a great book. Swag is a great book to listen to or read. Because I've basically taken confidence and broke it down to a science. Right. And I'm gonna be honest with you. A few things happened last week where I felt like my sales team was getting drug along by people. And then after that situation I had with a gentleman who took up 45 minutes of my time and then he didn't take an action, I go, that's over. Okay, you can forget that. Now we need to reframe this a little bit better. And I need to give them a step-by-step roadmap. And then I listened to the interview with Sean Ryan. And then I came up with the formula on Saturday night that I'm sharing with you today. Okay. All right. Carolina, what's your question?
So my question, so we're a service company. So what happens a lot of the times they're shopping for a great deal, right?
Yep.
They want a better deal, a great deal. So how would I change or start the conversation differently? Because I do feel that they would walk away and be like, well, I'll find someone else that will do it.
Well, I think you address, if that is the elephant in the room, I would always teach you to address it. Now, I would say this. Now, Carolina, I'm going to be the first one to tell you we're not the cheapest. And if you're looking for the cheapest, I'd be happy to introduce you to the cheapest cleaning companies that are out there. But I actually believe that you always get what you pay for. Okay. And if you want to work with the best, that's us. If you want to work with the cheapest, I can introduce you to the cheapest people. Now, I can't say they're going to have the same quality as us. I don't know because I don't work there. I had a guy tell me once that he could get a coach that was a lot cheaper than me in Houston, Texas. And I said, you could, but he wouldn't be any good. Now, if you want to get a cheap coach, go get one if that's what you want to do. And he said, you know what he said? You're right. I'm going to hire you. So I think when you're in a commoditized business, Carolina, like cleaning, industrial cleaning, I think some people will go for the cheapest. It's like, who is the cheapest? Because I own properties, but I would tell you, I want those properties to be cleaned properly. I don't want to show up and go, man, we got to get rid of this cleaning company because they were cheap and they didn't do the job, because then it creates more time and energy for me. So I just address these things head on. Yeah, good question. Joel, you got another question?
Yeah, would you recommend the A to B for self-discipline, or what book
I think
would you recommend?
A to B is a book that forces you to get clear in your bigger future. And it's a great sales tool to use during the conversation. Okay, so
So- So for, which one is for, sticking to a schedule and self-discipline?
I would say the self-discipline will be more flip the switch, the new book, which is
Okay, got it.
how to activate your drive every day.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Okay, now this is a valuable tool I'm teaching you guys today. It's going to feel good too. It's going to feel good when you do this. There's going to be some deals you walk away from. You guys know that, right? There's going to be some people that you go, you know what? It's probably not going to be a good fit. We need to move on to the next person. Some will, some won't. So what? We're only looking for the people who are looking for us. Go where you feel appreciated, not tolerated. Okay, Tyler, finish this up here.
Hey, coach, what would you recommend? So I'm younger, I'm 22, and I would consider myself an expert in my field of web design and copywriting, but some people have an issue with the age. Is that something you know how to navigate? Because that's been a challenge for me.
Well, I think when you're thinking about this, people are going to look at young people and they're going to ask a question. They're going to have what's called an unspoken objection. Like, you're only 22 years old. Like, what do you know? That kind of thing. I think you got to be really good when you're young. You got to be really good. You want people to say, man, he's young, but he's sharp. He's young, but he's hungry. He's young, but he's interested. He's young, but he's on top of his A game. See, you got to overcome this objection of like I was a young basketball coach, 22 years old, and people said that, well, he's only 22 years old, but I showed up and dressed like somebody, acted like somebody, and people started going, man, that kid's going places. Okay, so it's all in your, how you do that. And sometimes just being hungry will win, man. Just being hungry will win. You don't have to know everything in the room, but you got to show up and you got to be hungry. Okay. All right. This has been a good session today, guys. We call this the buyer versus the seller. I know we got into a lot of tactic today, so you probably want to go back and watch this a few times. You want to go through the questions. What I'm really saying is just take your self-confidence back, man. Don't give it to other people. Okay. Be the pro that they want to work with here. Okay. Now we got a number of things coming up that are in your notes. We got Package Your Purpose that's coming up November the 1st and 2nd. We've got Reset, which is a full day boot camp with me on planning your entire year for 2024. That'll be at the Lodge, and we will live stream that as well. You can also live stream Package Your Purpose if you can't come in person, and that'll be a 2-day boot camp on packaging. Then we've got couples retreats, got all kinds of really cool things that we're doing here the next couple of months to finish this thing strong. So hope you enjoyed today's course. I know I did, putting it together, and I hope it changes what you sell. And when you get a big win selling this way, I want you to put it in the private Facebook group so we can celebrate with you. Okay. All right. Love you guys. Have a great day. God bless you.
Thank you, Coach. Excellent.
Thank you.